Speaker, what remains ironical and probably paradoxical for many Ghanaians is now the promise by President Nana Addo Dankwa and his Minister of Finance that give me 2.5 years, I'll do better. What did you do with 6 years? That you now want us to give you two years to do better. What did you do with your 6 years? And you want us to believe you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, then I come to the matter of e-levy. Our position on e-levy remains unchanged. We said that it was a disincentive to our quest to build a cashless economy. We should take advantage of ICT and mobile infrastructure to accelerate our development and to mainstream ICT in all aspects of our national life. Mr. Speaker, they are talking about bringing the e-levy threshold from 1.5% to 1% with no exemptions, and they still care for ordinary people. We don't support it, but it brings you some revenue. So at least provide for a threshold of 300 Ghana cedis for ordinary people. And therefore, when you bring the bill, we will insist that some provision is made for the threshold, even though in principle we do not support it. I saw the Honorable Deputy Minister for Finance argue here strongly, mentioning Haruna Iddrisu. Mr. Speaker, I never ever on this floor said that we were for 1% e-levy at 500 threshold. I did, but I did at negotiations at the 12th floor. When I said 11th floor, leader reminds me. So Abina, if you are Honorable Abina, if you are talking about Honorable Deputy Minister for Finance, if you are talking about me, be sincere. It was not in this chamber, not on this floor of Parliament, not an official position of this minority. It was part of our negotiations on matters relating to EJEPA and many other things that we protested, that I made an offer on the table that can't you allow e-levy at 1% at the threshold of 500 Ghana. Then, Mr. Speaker, your able second deputy speaker, Honorable Siama, was sitting by my right. So he tapped my leg and said, leader, it was through Hododo. And tree that it was too high. And I said, in there, Mr. Speaker, bravo man, what do you have to offer? At that time, you in the Ministry of Finance boycotted and rejected the minority offer, and that gave morbidity to our offer. So our offer died on the table. So to turn around and want to blame this minority for your failing e-levy, Minister, take responsibility. E-levy, you got your projections wrong. And don't blame this poor minority. You got it wrong. You even projected 6.9 billion as outcome for e-levy. You are in the region of 500 million. So probably, if you want my education on e-levy, Mr. Speaker, I'm ready to offer it. If you recall, I said that the incidence of e-levy was 3.75% if you added 1.75%. So there was an existing 2%, and I thought that 2%, the state could share it with the telecos. That is why I said 1%. Let them keep the cash in and you keep the cash out. Because don't forget, they were charging it at limited threshold, 5,010 Ghana cedis. Now you've opened the envelope for them to charge everybody. So at the transactional level, you are better off asking for the 1% using your regulator. I've been former minister for communication. I'm sure even mobile money, I can take credit that I was part of those who led its introduction, learning from Kenya, M-Pesa, into Ghana. So what you did was to create an opportunity for the significant market shareholder to profit from e-levy and not the state or the government. You simply ignored us at your peril. Mr. Speaker, The policies and reforms announced in this budget are simply just not enough. And it is the demand of this group that there must be major expenditure cuts in your budget. That's why some of your tax handle will suffer in our hands. For instance, 1.4 billion allocation for contingency votes. Mr. Speaker, contingency. He wants 1.4 billion. We shouldn't give him that. We should cut it. So we will cut it. We will cut it. Yes. 1.4 billion.
Honorable Minority Leader, you have 5 more minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I will stay within time. Then there is 10 million allocated for Ministry of Defence, for Defence Advisory Services. To do what? Take that one too off and go and give it to school feeding. Then, Mr. Speaker, Office of Government Machinery. You are seeking to increase the staff strength from 1,500 to 3,681. You are ballooning and wanting to blow the numbers at the Flagstaff House. Office of Government Machinery. Honorable Deputy Minister for Finance, go to page 230 of your budget statement. Then, Mr. Speaker, I brilliantly enjoyed the budget debate of our colleagues. And Honorable Atachia, Chairman of the Energy Committee, was emphatic. I want to remind you today that emphasis you place is a projection into the future and will hold the minister and you accountable. You said that the minister will save $12 billion US. So, December 31st, 2023, Mr. Speaker, we will ask the minister to account to us the savings of $12 billion US of payments to IPPs. We will. It is not achieved. It is a projection into the future. But we are saying that independent power producers whose contracts have expired, why do you want to negotiate with them? The contract have expired. Leave it there. Why do you want to renegotiate with them? Then, Mr. Speaker, I cannot conclude without raising the vexed issue of the Bank of Ghana financing government. Is reported in this budget 33 billion, is reported to increase to 41 billion by end of year. Minister, that offense Section 30 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2002, Act 612, as amended. You are supposed to get financing of up to 5% of previous government revenue. So if you go and take 19 billion from Bank of Ghana, 24 billion from Bank of Ghana, you are in breach of the law. And we are inviting you to come back to Parliament. We can't say with the governor to regularize that expenditure. That is not acceptable. And you are better managers of the economy. We didn't borrow this excessively from Bank of Ghana. If President Mahama and the NDC did as he then was, would have been better off in delivering more infrastructure to you, like we did with Terminal 3. Now, Speaker, the cocoa sector, cocoa contractors, road contractors on cocoa have not been paid. You owe them 14 billion. You are saying that you pay them over a period of time. Many of them will survive. It's just like your haircut on bonds. Many people will survive your extension to 2027, 2033 to be able to receive it. So, Mr. Speaker, there is freeze on public sector employment. I hope that it doesn't affect teachers, nurses, and doctors that we need most. Mr. Speaker, let me therefore conclude that we know and we recognize that our country is in crisis, an economic crisis, a crisis precipitated by your incompetence and mismanagement of the economy, your excessive and irresponsible borrowing from 120 billion to over 500 billion in 6 years, exceeding and declaring Ghana a dead, high-risk debt distressed country. So, Mr. Speaker, ordinarily, this is the budget where we should have stood strong with the Ghanaian people. So we said no to VAT, no to your debt exchange regime, no to your 2.5% VAT increase, but to opt for expenditure cap. But Mr. Speaker,
1 minute.
Mr. Speaker,
1 minute left. 1 minute.
they are praying that this budget fails, and they blame us and blame Ghanaians. Take your failing budget. You have failed Ghanaians. Be mindful of rising costs of living. You have exacerbated hardships and poverty, and accept responsibility for it. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, just to begin with a response to all what my colleague has said. He says to us that the NDC are better managers of the economy. Mr. Speaker, just to tell him about the adage, the Akan adage, which runs, Yaria Ebo Kokosechi, a man to 2 years. Ebo Kwakwa de Bia, and can you see him? Mr. Speaker, it translates that the sickness that befell the vulture, which culminated in the hair loss, if it had afflicted the crow would have been buried. Mr. Speaker, the minority leader has asserted that government's debt situation now is the worst ever. Speaker, again, patented untruth. In 2000, the debt to GDP was 140%. 2000. Go and check your 2001 budget statement. Mr. Speaker, so talk to facts. Mr. Speaker, ours is globally induced. Never in our history have we had this downscaling of productivity, no thanks to COVID. Mr. Speaker, in 2000, the debt stock of this country was 9.2 billion. At the time the NDC was leaving, that's grown to 122 billion. Yes, Mr. Speaker, the percentage increase that happened to our debt stock at the instance of the NDC was 1,229%. You have the courage to talk to debt stock in this country. The Speaker, the debt stock, yes, 450 billion, yes, but the increase is 268%, as against your 1,229%. You have the courage to talk to management of the economy. Mr. Speaker, my colleague spoke eloquently about challenging the 2.5% increase in the VAT. That is an issue that he has raised. But as we all do know, and he himself ended on that note, that the economy is not in the best of shapes. And yet we need to continue the development of roads. About 25% of questions that are asked in this chamber relate to roads. Some roads have been begun, and the intention is to ensure that they don't deteriorate. They are not left unattended to. So the 2.5% increase in the VAT, you have been told, primarily is going to be used for road construction. If you don't want your roads to be constructed, tell us that you don't want your roads to be constructed. Mr. Speaker, The rate of the dollar, 2009, 1 cedi, 10 pesos to $1. 2016, it had escalated to 4 cedis, 35 pesos. The increase was 300%. Today, yes, it's gone bad, but the increase from 4.35 to 13.5% that we're experiencing now is 220%. Again, Mr. Speaker, speak to the truth. In spite of the unprecedented shocks, both internal and external, head to head, the MPP has proven to be better managers of this economy. The evidence is clear. The evidence is clear. Mr. Speaker, just to thank you very much for the opportunity to once again conclude. Mr. Speaker, so one could go on and on. Your track record is so horrible. Your track record is so horrible that sometimes I wonder whether you have now been born into a country called Ghana, or you have been here all this way. Your track record, most appalling, most horrible. Mr. Speaker, education, services. Education 2014, you grew education at minus 0.3%. That's your track record. 2015, minus 0.5%. 2016, you managed your head up the water a bit, and it was 2.3%. But 2022, our most horrible year, first half, education has grown by 9.0%. That's the track record of the MPP. Health and social work, 2.7% in 2014, minus 4.4% in 2015, and 2016, 4%. Today, 9.3%. That is health and social work. And finally, other services. In 2016, when you were leaving, your track record, the growth in other service activities was minus 0.1%. Today, our annus horribilis, West year, is positive 2.0%. Mr. Speaker, in virtually every facet of the economy, the figures churned out under the NDC, under the MPP, are far better than under the NDC. So where from this contrivance and the shrill voices? Mr. Speaker, the Constitution in Article 36, Clause 3, Article 36, Clause 3 provides for the state, and I'm quoting, to take appropriate measures to promote the development of agriculture and industry. The service sector exists, unquote, I should say. The service sector exists to lubricate agriculture and industry. Unfortunately for us, Mr. Speaker, the service sector is outstripping and indeed outpacing agriculture and industry. And that cannot be good, because in Ghana, we don't have a specialized service delivery system. So if you have the service industry growing as of this year, in 2022, the contribution of the Speaker, in 2022, the contribution of agriculture to GDP is 21.6%. Industry is 30.4%, and services is 48.0%. In such situations, growth may happen without the commensurate development, and that should worry us. Ghana's economy is not, as I said, a specialized service activity propelled one, and the circumstances we need special emphasis to be placed on agriculture and industrial development to add value to agricultural and forest products. Mr. Speaker, Clearly, the Ghana situation today is not one of epileptic, and I'm quoting the minority leader who borrowed my own words without paying the relevant patents to me. Ghana's economy is not one of epileptic growth, since even under the hugely negative impact of COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukrainian imbroglio, the MPP administration has done better than the rather shambolic regime offered by the NDC. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, let me remind my colleagues that until the COVID-19 pandemic, Ghana's economic development was about plateauing. And it's a reason why we saw consistent GDP growth rates. Mr. Speaker, it is why the theme for this year's budget is restoring and sustaining macroeconomic stability and resilience through inclusive growth and value addition. This is the essence of the Nkabom budget, complementing one another at this crucial time to ensure the unity and stability of our dear nation, Ghana. It is not, this Nkabom budget is not of the same order as the Nkabom Aban or union government, which was roundly rejected by Ghanaians. So, Mr. Speaker, let us all rise to rebuild the nation together, as the prophet Nehemiah urged his people in those days of extreme wars. Mr. Speaker, so I entreat all of us to join ranks with the administration, to join hands and come together to rebuild, knowing that we are one people in one country with a common destiny. Speaker, let me wish for all of us God's blessings. God bless our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity provided me.
Before I put the question, a reminder, in whatever you do, always remember, respect is earned. I end there. At the conclusion of the debate, as many as are in favor of the motion, say aye. Those against, say no. No! Honorable members, I put the question again. They are listening. Oh my. Honorable members, please don't use your mics. And also don't shout. Honorable members, I'm to decide based on the voice vote. So please use your voice. Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Those against, say no. I think the ayes have it. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House has accordingly approved the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2023. And the gavel will indicate that decision.